everybody, welcome back to my channel. I have a monthly wrap up for you guys, and the first time in what feels like a million years. I read 5 books this month, and I'm actually really proud of myself because I feel like my reading has been pretty inconsistent in 2021, and I really want to change that this year. So without further ado, I want to talk to you guys about all of the books that I read in January because I actually loved a lot of them. So the first 2 books that I read were Bridge Kingdom and The Traitor Queen, and this is part of a fantasy series by Danielle L. Jensen. This is about Lara, who is a warrior princess who was raised in isolation with her 11 sisters. She is chosen and embarked on a mission to marry, seduce, infiltrate the Bridge Kingdom, which is extremely elusive, and she believes that the Bridge Kingdom is responsible for her people's hardships, so she vows to avenge her people. However, she discovers that maybe she wasn't on the right team to begin with, and maybe she's been a little bit misguided. This book series has been one of those things that just kind of pops up when I'm searching on Amazon. When it was selected to be the December and January book club pick for the Fantasy Series book club that I host alongside Christine from the Roomies Digest, Jess from Books Past Bedtime, as well as Rachel from Let Me in the Library, I was super excited. Going into this series, I had really not heard much about it anywhere, and so I really had no idea what to expect. I was so pleasantly surprised. I rated Bridge Kingdom 5 stars, and I rated The Traitor Queen 4 stars. So let's talk about all of the things that I liked about this duology in general. First of all, if you guys like the enemies to lovers trope, marriage of convenience, sharing one bed, this is perfect. It definitely is very saucy in some scenes. Definitely more so the first book, but I very much enjoyed it. Second thing that I loved about this series is that the characters were extremely likable. There were very few characters, that I hated consistently throughout the storyline, and even though some of the characters made some questionable and cringeworthy decisions, you have to understand what that character went through, and you still are rooting for this character throughout the story. Another reason why I loved the series is just because of the elaborate world building. I think it's probably one of the most creative worlds that I have ever read about in a book series, and that was super fun because I was not expecting to be transported to this realm. So in thinking about why I rated Bridge Kingdom 5 stars and The Traitor's Queen 4 stars, I really liked how much information we were given here, and I liked the romance. I liked the slow burn tension between 2 main characters, and I was really rooting for that to develop. I think that the first book definitely is very focused on this relationship as well as figuring out the world. The second book is definitely a very angst-filled, and there's not as much romance in it. I also feel like some characters in this book were just kind of given so much crap, and it was just a constant bullying cycle, and it was just a bit hard to read at times. However, I did rate this a 4 star because I still really enjoyed getting the ending that I wanted that I did not get from the first book, and it's exciting because you really get to meet more characters in this book, and I do know that she has more books for this series planned out, but they haven't been released yet, which is why we chose not to do them for Fantasy Series Book Club. It'll be really interesting to see how the author writes the 3rd book onward with different perspectives, because I know for a fact that the next few books are not going to be revolved around the 2 protagonists of these past 2 books. If you like fast-paced storylines, angsty romance, this is definitely the book series for you. I just had a really fun time with it. Okay, so the next book that I read in the month of January was Fox 8 by George Saunders, and this was actually gifted to me for my birthday from Rachel from Let Me in the Library, and this is actually one of her favorite books, so I was really excited to read it. However, unfortunately, I think I'm going to have to give this book a 2.5 star rating. Before I get into my thoughts, I just want to talk about the book synopsis briefly. Fox 8 is about Fox 8, that's his name, and how he idolizes humans and tries to learn to speak like them, and he has hopes of a realm where they can kind of coexist peacefully and happily together, but disaster strikes and Fox 8 might have to reevaluate. First of all, I would like to say that I really enjoyed the moral of the story. I really appreciate how the author drew attention attention to how humans are pretty selfish individuals, especially when not taking into consideration the effects that their actions have on the environment, as well as the creatures that live in the environment, and this was definitely a very eye-opening read in that sense. I also really loved that it had happy and sad moments, so there were parts where I was laughing and there were parts where I was crying. However, the thing that I really did not like about this book was that the author uses a fake Fox dialect to kind of imitate Fox 8's version of human language with a lot of misspellings, and although it was kind of quirky and fun in the first couple pages, it got really old fast. My brain just was not able to comprehend it in a very positive manner. So for that reason alone, I'm giving it a 2.5 star because I really had to push through it, and the only reason why I finished this book was because I was reading it out loud to my boyfriend. The next book that I read in the month of January was Beasts of a Little Land by Joo Kim, and this is actually a historical fiction novel that I read because I was a co-host on Noelle 7 Page's Hot Dog Book Club, which was super fun to participate in. This story focuses on multiple POVs living in Korea during the Japanese occupation, and it takes place over the span of 1917 through 1965. I rated this book 4.5 stars. I really enjoyed it. It made me tear up so much towards the end, and it was just a very unforgettable story. There were many things I liked about this book. First of all, this book is a debut, so it is the author's first published book, which is really exciting because the writing was so lush and vivid. I really felt like I could see everything that was going on and really get to know these characters on a deeper level. I loved the dynamic between the characters throughout the storyline. I felt like all of their lives were so intertwined in just the most unexpected of ways. It was just so beautifully done. It was also interesting to see how characters throughout this long timeline changed, sometimes for the better, sometimes for the worst, but everyone was evolving in different ways, which I found was really interesting and really made the characters seem more real. When I was looking on Goodreads, I saw a quote of this girl who reviewed the book, and she said that she just wasn't able to empathize with the characters in this story because there weren't a lot of characters that she felt were good characters, nice characters. I thought that this book had a lot of great characters because people are not just inherently good or bad, and I think that this book makes people just feel human because people are going to make mistakes. People who might be on the wrong side or the right side, everyone has their own story, everyone has their own motives, and so I just felt that this book was such a great portrayal of humans in general. I talk about this a lot on my recent live show with Noelle 7 Pages, so if you guys are interested and want to go check that out, I'll leave a link in the description down below so you guys can go ahead and watch that. But just overall, I really like this historical fiction novel. I think this is a book that is going to stay with me for a while, and I've actually already recommended it to my boyfriend's mom, so hopefully she's going to enjoy it as much as I did. The last book that I read in the month of January was The Girl from the Sea by Molly Knox Ostertag, and I actually received this for Christmas from my Secret Santa this past year, and this book is a heartwarming sapphic novel about a 15-year-old girl named Morgan who wants to leave her island and move to a big city where she can be open about the fact that she likes girls. However, one day she almost drowns and she's actually saved by this mysterious girl named Kelty, and she might have to confront her feelings sooner than later. I'm not going to really give much more information because it's really good to go into a graphic novel not knowing much, just because usually it is a shorter story than, you know, a thick chapter book. But I love this so much. Normally for me, graphic novels kind of have like a 50-50% chance of sticking with me just because it's really hard to get attached to characters in such a short amount of time, especially because I read graphic novels in the span of maybe 30 minutes to an hour. However, I was so attached to both of these characters. I loved Kelty so much. She was so wholesome and full of life, and I was rooting for their happiness throughout the entire book. I was a little bit sad about the ending, but I have hope that with the open-endedness of the story, it's going to have the eventual ending that I'm hoping for. I also really liked how text messages or fake text messages were incorporated in this story because it made it more relatable, and you could really see the friendship dynamic that the main character Morgan has with her friends without having to include dialogue all the time. It was very refreshing to me, and in general this was just a very fun read, and definitely not one that I'm going to be unhauling anytime soon, if ever. If I didn't say so already, this would be a 5-star read. These are all the books that I read in the month of January. I am super happy. As you guys can tell, I read a lot of books that I rated 4 to 5 stars, so it was a really great reading month for me. This next few months, I'm going to really try and read more books from my collection unless I'm doing a read-along or finishing a book series. I'm going to really try minimizing how many books I've been purchasing, because I calculated and I have, I think, almost 200 books on my physical TBR, and that's just not good. I would love to hear in the comments down below a book that you read in the month of January and your thoughts, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Hope you guys are having a great day, and I'll see you later. Bye!